There goes my crowd. That's tough. That's tough on you when you come up here to speak and everybody gets up and leaves. Good morning, everyone. You know, we all decided to come and worship God today, didn't we? I think so. Well, it's the only reason we're here, right? Well, I'm going to talk about something today that another thing we have in common other than coming here. A lot of things that go on in my life, me and Rita's life centered around, God pretty much every day, but I never know what's going to inspire me. And sometimes I'm kind of uninspirable, but I do get inspired occasionally. And I think it's interesting how God works so much in, a guy like me. So I wrote this. I have it on my Bible here. Let me get back. Start each day with a grateful heart. So I wrote that. And how I do my sermons is I write what's on my mind, what I'm inspired. God has kind of wanted my heart to think about. And then I go through the Bible and stuff. So I've got this grateful heart. So I tell what inspired me was the chorus we just sang, right? So I tell Rita, I said, that's a song. I said, I've written this sermon. I said, so I need that song. I want them to play that song. So I literally read every hymn in that book. It is not in there. I got Rita to look for it. No. I got help from the ladies over here trying to find me, giving me the books, try to find who wrote A Grateful Heart. So I thought, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to speak. It's not. That's what got me there, so I'm not going to speak on that. And then I got inspired about fear. And so one day when I get done again, I'll give the one about a grateful heart. But I can't do it unless I get everything just right. Because everything has to be just right for me. But today's sermon is on fear. And everyone here and everyone who has come through those doors has fear. They may have less than other people. They may have more than other people. My wife, and I'm asking Christ that when I first get up there, I'm saying, what in the world did you put us together for? She's fire, I'm ice. She's yes, I'm no. I'm no, she's yes. We don't agree on nothing other than I should obey her because she's my angel, and her wings, I always tease her. She's so right, and again today you'll find out she was right again. She's so right, her angel wings flap so much. People think that I get this windburn from fishing. It's from her angel wings flapping in my face telling me what to do. So my study started when one of these Old Testament guys here made me go to Deuteronomy sometime. I never go to the Old Testament, and I believe this is sermon number 177 at this church for me. And this is the very first time in the history of the world that I'm going to start reading in the Old Testament first. So if you'll, I believe he owed me. I believe I was do that. So to turn to Deuteronomy 6 and verse 13. Deuteronomy 6 and 13. Thou shalt fear the Lord thy God and serve him, and shalt swear by his name. So in one of those guys' sermons, I happened to read that, and I thought right off the bat, and I said, well, I don't agree with that. There's got to be more to it, because I do not fear my God. I love him. He changed my life. He got me on the right path. Why would I fear him? As I was growing up, I had many fears. I feared my father. I feared my crazy mom. But as you get accustomed to a fear, your mind and your heart kind of prepares you for it. So as a child with a kind of a crappy childhood, I learned not to care. That's how I dealt with my fear as a child. You learn not to care. I don't care if they give me a whipping. I don't care if I get anything to eat. That kind of thing. That's how your mind helps you survive. And all of us have a secret fear. Every one of you out there. I'm looking at you and you got one. You got one. You got one. And what I want to talk about today is how you get help with that. I'll tell you how I got help with my fear. So I started this saying, I don't fear God, right? There's no way. So, of course, my little angel over there told me, says, well, you're wrong on that. You're supposed to fear God. I said, no. I know how I feel. I love God with all my heart and all my soul. I do. So I'm not afraid of him. And she goes, well, you need to be afraid of him. Well, since she said it with that tone of voice, I kind of got a little fear. Because that tone of voice gets my attention when she tells me I need to be doing things. So I sat down, and I just want you to know for a fact that I have read over 550 passages in the Bible that have some form of the word fear in it. I looked every one of them up, and I read it. And the conclusion is, as Rita said, I was wrong. You're supposed to fear God. I would like for you to turn to me with another, I can't even say it. Yeah, that's it. Turn over there. Verse 12. Chapter 12, verse 13. And this, because I read every one of them and kind of studied, because I really didn't want to fear God, but that's not what the Bible tells us. The Bible tells us we need to fear God. And on this verse kind of summed it up for me. He says, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. So I'm not the brightest, sharpest stick in the bucket, but when I read that, I thought, I think I'm going to fear God, because that's what he tells me to do. But I got to thinking about, as I'm reading through all these passages, lots of different kinds of fears in the Bible. Lots of different kinds of fears. Fear for safety. Of course, that's one of the reasons the Abraham guys, I'm kind of, I'm always teasing them, is and I still believe that Abraham's kind of a coward. So as he goes to the old different country, he has a beautiful wife. They want to get him, so he said, well, I'm kind of fearful for my life, so yeah, go ahead and take my woman. Well, I'm just going to tell you, that's not right with me. That's just not right with me. Ain't nobody taking Rita. Now, she's mean, but she's my mean. So there's lots of fears, and I've decided that my fear for my God is more of a respect for his almighty power. I've read and kind of studied. That's the conclusion I came to. And I think that's right. And it can be different for everyone. That's one thing about the Bible. You can read and find things that inspire you, that make you want to do the right thing. And when we do the right thing, our life is better. That's what people, all the friends of mine that say, oh, you're always, Mr. Goody Two-Shoes. You won't do this, you won't do that. You're missing out on all the fun. And I always say, well, what you're missing out on is a good life. I don't have a lot of the trouble. I still have troubles, but I don't have the troubles that you bring on yourselves, because you're not following that path, the path that God tells you to get on. And as I said, Rita said I was wrong, and she was, once again, the rightest woman God ever made, and I was wrong. So part two, so now that messed up my whole sermon, see? Because I was going to teach y'all you didn't need to fear God. And after I did this, I found out, well, once again, I was wrong, and you do need to fear God, because he is our almighty God and our Father. So part two of fear. Just plain old fear. Not fear of God, just plain old fear. The fear that we bring as we wake up every day. And I was trying to remember what my first fear in life. Can y'all think of that? Think about the first thing you were really afraid of. And you don't have to, it's you personally. Well, mine was dogs. When I was 5 years old, on my birthday, we went to somewhere, one of my parents' acquaintances. We're having a little birthday party for me. I go outside, and they had a German Shepherd dog tied. Everybody back in the olden days had a big long chain and had their dog on it, and he was barking. And I just kind of wandered out there. And of course, what I remember was I walked out there, the dog jumped on me, and he bit me through my face down through here. He tore out my tear ducts. So when it's windy, I cry. People think, of course, I cry all the time anyway, but back when I was a tough guy, that wind would hit me because I had no tear duct, and it would just pour out here because the dog ate me through there. And I do remember the 21 rabies shots I got as a little kid. They stick them in your stomach. So that was my fear. Fear stayed with me so long after we got married, I scared Rita to death because I have a dog dream. Well, that dog is not on the chain, and he's chasing me. And I'd be shaking, and she'd have to wake me up. Ricky, you're having the dog dream. So that's my fear. What's your fear? Really think about it today. Think about it, because we can help you with that fear. Christ can. The fear of the dogs was so bad, I had another entrance. I was fishing a national tournament with a friend of mine. His name is Bob Carver. So we get in our boats, and we're on Lake Toledo Bend in Louisiana, one of the largest lakes in America. And we go way up the river. It's at 70 miles an hour. It took about 40 minutes to get where we were at. Once we get up there, we didn't have any ice, and I was out of pop. I have to have Dr. Pepper's. And he seen a sign up on this hill, and it was all growed up in it, and it said, I wrote it down here just a minute, Coca-Colas, cold drinks, ice, and an arrow up this path. And it's on the riverbank of the Sanbean River. That's really not a real, and that was the time when a lot of marijuana was being grown in kind of secluded areas along rivers. And I thought, well, we're thirsty. We're going to go get some ice. So we take off, park our boats. Me and Bob go walk up there, get up about halfway, and you can see the roof of the house and the sign pointing down, Coca-Cola. I said, well, we got it. Well, we get up there, and the house was pretty dilapidated, and I remember there's always a Chevy in Oklahoma. There's got to be a broke down Chevy vehicle in the yard, and it was over there. And now I've got my dog, my dog fear is in, so I've got my dog antenna up, and I'm looking for dogs, because this looks like a real kind of a dog place. The house is on stilts. They're on the river, so they had built the house up probably about 4 foot up, and a voice in a screened-in porch. I'm getting all the details because it's pretty scary for me. And this lady was laying on a couch in there, and she said, "You boys, come on," of course, Southern, "come on up, boys. Y'all wanting some Cokes?" I said, "Yeah, I want a cold Coke." Nice. So we go in. She never got up off the couch. She says, "Everything's $1, so I don't have to make change." I said, well, we got some dollars, so I got a pop, I got a bag of Cheetos, and it was dusty. I didn't want to look at the expired deal, but it was dust on it. Usually dusty things aren't, real. But I was hungry, so we got Cheetos, each got a Coke, and each got a bag of ice. Paid the lady. I come down the steps, and now I'm happy. See, I didn't see no dogs. I don't have my dog alert on. I'm holding a bag of ice, pop, and I just hear growl out from under that porch. And as you'll find out in my next story, they say you have either fight or flight. I'm definitely your flight guy. I want to say I'm a hero and I would stay in battle to the end. Pretty much before the next step was, I had took off and I'm hearing dogs growling. And I got my bag of ice, my pop, and I'm running down that hill, and I jumped 10 feet off that bank with that 5-pound bag of ice in my boat and had it started, and I was backed out. I hear my friend Bob, Rick, help! And I yell back, "You're on your own, it's dogs." So that's my hero. That was my fear. The greatest fear was those dogs. I guess there was probably 100 of them under that house coming out getting Bob. Because when he got down there, he was not happy with me. He had torn pants, he was dirty, and he didn't have his hat. And I said, being the nice guy, "Would you like another hat?" He told me to shut up and get on out of the way. He was mad. That's your plain old fear. My next story is about my little angel. That people, y'all don't realize, she's kind of devilish too. I mean, I tell her all the time, I said, people think you're so nice and I'm so mean. I said, they don't really know. You really don't know her. So I'm sitting there, and every afternoon we have the same deal. Around 5 o'clock, She likes to go in the bedroom, gets all of her little stuff, her Coke, her deal, and she watches her TV show. Well, that's when I watch my fishing. Actually, I watch the fishing most of the time, but so I start watching my fishing, and she's in there until about 9 o'clock, and then I go in bed. We have our little conversation. We fall asleep. That's what two 70-year-olds do. That sounds like a lot of fun, doesn't it? But anyway, that's what we do. So I'm kicking along. It gets about time 9 o'clock for me to go in. I go in. I open the door. Of course, it's dark. I'm going to see my angel. We're going to, say our deal, give a kiss, and go to sleep. I fling the door, and I'm in my socks, have my socks on. So I open the door, and look at that. This is what I see in the bed. So I open the door, I see that. And me being such a man's man, I started backing up, and my socks were so slick, I'm about to fall. I'm hanging on the door. I couldn't, and now she's laughing. Well, when she started laughing, I realized it wasn't the devil in my bedroom. It was my angel. I got goosebumps again. Look at that. She started laughing. I did. It's scary. I was not expecting the devil in there. I'm expecting my angel. So that's how fear can get us. Fear can make you run. Fear can immobilize you. Fear can keep you from coming to church. I know at one time in my life, Trinidad Padilla was here as our picture, and he touched my heart a little bit. And I thought, man, I can't get sucked into this religious stuff. Rita goes all the time. Really, it was a fear because I felt just a little bit of the Holy Spirit, and it made me want to come. And I thought, man, I got to back away. Fear can keep us from loving people. Fear of rejection. I know that in my life, with my kind of a nutty family, mega fights all the time, and we would go forever without talking to each other again because of the fear that when I go over there, they're going to jump on me. In fact, they did it so much that Reed would say, don't go over there and get jumped on, just come back. So that kept me from going over there, good or bad. That's the way it was. You never knew. How about in your relationships? Christ wants us to love everyone. We need to love everyone. Even if they despitefully use you, we really do. That's just what Christ teaches right here in this Bible. Not really a whole lot in the Old Testament, but when you get over to the good stuff, He's there. He wants you to love people. The inspiration for this, I want to go to 2 Timothy. Get out of it. Get over to 2 Timothy chapter 1. 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. That's how He helps us. That's how He helps us fight our fears, whatever our fears are. Some people's fears, everybody goes, yeah, that's a great fear. And another can be a fear like I had when it scared me with Rita's mask on. Each person in your soul, it's important to you what your fear is. That's what Christ can help you. God can help you overcome that. It says right here He can. I know He can because He helped me. I don't have the dog dream anymore. Now that I've talked about it, I'll probably have it tonight, but I haven't had that dog dream. I don't have that. I didn't have that fear anymore. I'm still not going to run out and hug a German Shepherd. But that fear that I had, the fear of coming to church, the fear of speaking. I didn't speak for a long time because I was afraid people wouldn't like me. Then I realized as I was reading that that's not me you're listening to. It's what Christ is saying. That's all this is. This week, and it happens every time, I feel sorry for poor Rita. When I get inspired, I'm inspired now, guys. I'm ready. I'm ready to roll. But come Friday, before I come today, I get a little cranky. And Rita has to pay for it. I get apprehensive that I'm going to say something wrong that would offend one of y'all. That's never my intention, no matter what I say. I have that fear that overcomes me that I am not adequate enough to say what Christ wants me to say. Again, that's a fear. And that makes me cranky on Fridays. I was so cranky this Friday, we ate at the new Italian place, and we were coming by Mark and Aaron's place, and I told Rita, I says, I'm pulling in and telling Mark I'm not speaking. The fear got me, right? My fear of inaccuracy. Of course, the angel said, keep on driving. You're not doing that, you nut. Didn't you? Yes, you did. But see how fear changes you? I think God wants us all to do something for this church. His church. Don't have to be this building, but his church. One of the things I can do is I feel inspired to speak, good or bad. But the fear wanted me to stop and tell Mark, take over, big boy, I'm out of here. We need to get rid of that. 1 John 4. Oh, no, I don't want to go there yet. I got ahead of myself. I have to tell this last story. What made me inspired to write this? So, Rita Jean got her surgery on her arm. Well, I was very apprehensive about that. People in my life that are really old like Rita, that go get surgery and they go, I can't think of the word, unconscious. They go under, they get, a lot of them in my life, well, they've come out kind of Looney Tunes, We get dementia. When you're old, sometimes you have surgery, you come out. That happened to my father, to Charlie a little bit, happened to Helen a little bit. So I had that fear. I didn't want Rita to, I thought she could tough it out. I mean, Washburns are pretty tough. She's kind of a whiner about that arm. And I wasn't wanting them to put her asleep to make the surgery. So much so that my daughter, which is she is the one who has my heart in her hands, but she's kind of a Rottweiler type person. She will chew me out more faster than anybody else, and she pretty much chewed me out because I was being so selfish that I wouldn't go along with Rita getting her arm surgery and put her to sleep. Of course, that kind of guilted me. Now I got both of them against me, so I say, okay, let's go. So we get up there, and the doc says, he says, well, and I told him about my fears. I mean, I'm not bashful. And I told him I didn't much care for it. He says, well, we'll just give her a block in her arm, and she won't be unconscious. I said, hey, okay. Now my fear's gone. So we get up there and we get Rita in the deal, and the guy looks at me. He says, well, it'll be 2 hours minimum when we take her into the surgery. The doc, and he goes, I said, well, is there anything I can do? Well, you need to go get her medicine. So he gave me her medicine to take when she got out. So I walk out in the waiting room for the surgery. I went, man, I'm hungry. So I went out and got in the truck and went on down to Outback Steakhouse, ordered me a steak. I love blooming onions. I got me a big old blooming onion. I drank several Dr. Peppers. I eased on back up to the, and later on, I want the ladies to understand, Rita was pretty furious with me for doing that. I don't know why. I mean, I wasn't, he told me he wasn't going to put her under. Guy might as well eat, right? So I get back and I'm sitting there waiting in the surgery room. And there was 8 other people in there, 9 of us total, in the 9 rooms that they were doing the surgery. And over the loudspeaker comes over, code blue, emergency in surgery. And my heart just kind of jumped. And Rita said it was payback for all the times I died on her, and she's used to hearing cold blue. But my heart jumped. Really, literally, my heart. And I immediately started praying. And then I felt guilty about praying that don't be Rita, let it be someone else. But I'll just be honest with you, that's what I prayed. There's 1 in 9 chance she's the one dying right now. So selfish or not, that's what I prayed. I said, please, God, please help my wife. Please not let that be her. About 10 minutes later, the 9 of us are still sitting there. We're all worried. Everybody's on heels. And the doctor comes out, and I see him looking at me, and I went, oh. And then again, my heart, another payback from Rita said. And he went to another lady. Of course, she started crying, and now I'm praying for her. And I thought to myself, how did God help me there? He helped me get through that. When you're my age and you've had 3 major heart attacks, 5 stents, your heart jumping around like that is not really good. Then I felt guilty about the bloomin' onion. But it came out good for me, and I prayed for the whatever the other lady was. But in that moment, my fear was my greatest fear, that the loss of my wife. Isn't that the loss, what we fear? We fear the loss of our children, someone we are so dear to. My point is, how did God feel when he looked down and see Christ on the cross? And he did that just for us, not anybody else. Everybody here. Just a taste of what God sacrificed. Just a taste. Now I'll go to 1 John in closing. 1 John 4. Verse 15 through 20. Whosoever shall confess that Jesus is the Son of God, God dwelleth in him, and him in God. And we have known and believed that the love of God hath to us. God is love, and he that dwelleth in the love dwelleth in God, and God in him. Wherein is our love made perfect, that we may have boldness in the day of judgment, because as he is, so are we in this world. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casteth out all fear, because fear hath torment. He that feareth is not made perfect in love. We love him because he first loved us.